Welcome back to Voices of the Valley here on ValleyHoopsInsider.com. The legendary Dick Luedke is with us. He is the play-by-play voice of the Illinois State Redbirds. And Dick, you guys have had kind of an up-and-down season. Talk a little bit about the Redbird season.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster for sure. It's kind of crazy. I mean, they've had some fantastic games, and they've had some dreadful games. Dan Muller would tell you that. But I think it's not specific to the Redbirds. It's true, maybe a little more prevalent in the Redbird season, but it's been true to some degree of pretty much every team in the league for some reason.
I brought Jim Benson into this same room, and I just stood way out there and talked to him. And I wanted him to feel like one of the star basketball players, but I wanted to sit next to you on this one. How long for you with the Redbirds now doing their games?
This is my 33rd basketball year. Started in 1981, but I missed 5 years when I changed jobs. They invited me to come back on a part-time basis, and I'm so glad I did. I just love it.
Hey, talk to the people out there. We call it Voices of the Valley because you guys and the beat writers, you are the voices to the rest of us to tell us what's going on and who the players are like and all of that. Just take us behind the curtain a little bit about the excitement, the energy, the sense of belonging that you get out of it.
Well, we get to travel with the team, and so we do get to know the players really well, which is just a real virtue of this profession. They're good kids. They're likable kids, and I enjoy getting to know them. And, of course, I get to know the coaches even more. I know Coach Muller now very well because he was a player before he became coach at Illinois State. So just to be that close to everybody. But then the challenge is to objectively describe the game, even though in your heart you're so wanting them to be successful.
I watch the games, and of course, I don't travel with any of the teams, and I'm rooting for the all 10 teams. And then you get to the tournament, when it's non-conference, right? You can flip it on, and I'm throwing things, or they go to the NCAA tournament. I'm rooting for the Valley teams, and then they get here, and it's like, I'm a mess now. I want all 10 of them to win. You guys, a lot of expectations. Coming in here, the 4 seniors, 3 guys that have been all-conference or borderline all-conference guys. Keyshawn really doesn't have a very good year, at least statistically. Tinsley hasn't done much. So what do you make of that part of it, that a couple of guys just didn't maybe come forward?
I don't fully understand it. With regard to Keyshawn, he has had a good defensive year. He's been, especially toward within the conference season, he's been the defensive star of the team, and he works so hard at it. I think that has compromised his play on the offensive end a little bit. But he's not had the kind of year that I'm sure he envisioned, and certainly William Tinsley has not as well. William's been a streaky player at Illinois State, and he could catch fire here in St. Louis and do some great things. They are healthier now. They're 10 deep instead of 8 deep, so Dan Muller has more options when he looks to substitute, and that's especially important since they had to play a Thursday night game, and they need to conserve the fuel as much as they can here in these early games.
We're here at the 2019 Arch Madness tournament, but 2019-20 with Illinois State, you lose all those 4 seniors, but you are loaded with guys that have come from other programs.
Yes, they have some people waiting in the wings who are sitting out transfer years this year who are very good players. In practice, they sometimes outperform the guys who are playing right now. Of course, they're probably more motivated to do so than the guys who are playing right now. But I think even though he's losing 4 very talented players, Dan and his staff are very excited about what could happen next year.
I've been asking a number of the guys what coming to St. Louis is like. I always call it like a family reunion, but just talk a little bit about coming to St. Louis and bumping into all those guys you know and have known so well.
Yeah, the fraternity of journalists within the Missouri Valley Conference is really strong. There are a lot of us, and you're one of them, who've been affiliated with the league for so long, and so it is such a pleasure to come and see them. This tournament is so well administrated. I haven't covered other conference tournaments, but I've talked to many people who have and who've played and who've coached in those tournaments, and every one of them will tell you that this one is as well run as any in the country. It's just a fantastic. I look forward to it every year. It's sort of like a vacation, although it's a working vacation. I do look forward to it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, I'm down here pounding out things, interviewing 1 million people, and broadcasting a couple of games, and writing stories. And at the end of the weekend, I'm like, man, I had a blast. Is there not 2 more days?
Exactly. Yeah. When it's over, it's kind of deflating. Actually, you have to wait all the way until next year to come back here.
Give us one last thing. give us a little bit of, this is who Dan Muller really is. People see him on the sidelines, and he can be kind of stoic. He can be charged up. But who is Dan Muller?
He's, I think, the strong attribute that maybe a lot of people don't know about Dan is how forthcoming he is. He criticizes himself publicly. He doesn't hide anything. More so, I think, than maybe any coach I've worked with. And I think that's a good thing to do. At least you need to self-criticize yourself. That's how you get better at whatever you're doing. You know what you're not doing well. But he shares publicly what he thinks he's not doing well. And I admire that part of his personality.
Appreciate your time. That's Dick Luedke. He's the play-by-play broadcaster of the Illinois State Redbirds, and they have a big, big game tonight. We'll watch it and see how it all turns out. Appreciate your time. You've been watching Voices of the Valley here on ValleyHoopsInsider.com.